Hey folks, welcome to A Piece of CX. This week we're going to take a look within Zoom Contact Center and the Flow Editor. So we're going to use the Flow Editor within Zoom Contact Center to route interactions essentially. And everything is managed under Contact Center Management, and you'd create your skills, your queues, all that kind of good stuff. But ultimately you need a flow for them to route. So we have our Flow Editor here under Contact Center Management, and then we go into whatever flow we want to take a look at. And I've got one preloaded called Support Inbound Voice. Now, if you followed my work on other platforms, you'll know that to me a good script is a simple script. And we've got one with 3 steps here. So we've got to start, and we have our entry points here straight away, which is interesting because if I want to add another phone number, if I have another phone number, then I could just add one here really easily. There's not another menu I have to go to say add a phone number or to associate a phone number to a script. So that's really quite nice there. If I go and close that, then what I also really like about this is I've got my exits. So I can say where I want this to go to, and it's going to the next block. So this is a really, really simple script. We've got a voice start, we've got send media, we're playing a little bit of audio here. Welcome to the support team, we're routing your query, and then we are just routing to. So this is our queue to skill, or queue to queue even in the world of Zoom. So we are going to demo voice. We can see here the details. It even says how many agents, how many supervisors, all of that kind of stuff. And we can set all manner of different things that are going on within here. In fact, this sends us out to the queue to go and work on that further. So we'll come back to that. You see here even little things like callback in queue. We can go and turn all of that on. We've got estimated wait time. Again, you just turn it on. So you don't have to necessarily have lots of different functions. And one thing you'll notice here, in fact, if I move myself over here, this is the entirety of the palette. We have 9 functions we can call upon, which if you're used to playing in other environments might feel a bit on the low side. But actually, of those hundreds and thousands of different functions you might see in a palette, how many do you actually use on a day-by-day basis? So here I've got my start, send media, so playing something and routing. I can collect my input as well, so I can drag that in as well, potentially. And we can do that. And you can see here we've got input capture, we've got a menu, we can put our different options in here, we can use our assets to play that, or we can just do text to speech. Very easily, text to speech. Please enter your favorite number. You can play it back to us. We'll hear what it sounds like.
Please enter your favorite number.
Sounds a little bit robotic, but it's text to speech at the end of the day. So we've got key press input, and then we've got our options down here as well. So I could send that via here, for example, and I could go here, click on my exits and change that to collect input like so. It's going to give me an error straight away. It doesn't like this. Message is required. So we need to make sure there's a message in. So actually we're just going to change that on our exit to send media. Now your other options here, there are quite a few. So we've got our bot option. So we could link in a bot and bring that in, and you select which bot. Again, it depends what you have set up as well. So I've got some Zoom virtual agent voice bots available there to me. And again, I just select my exits. If we want to elevate, for example, your conditions. So this is going to be based on your variables, depending on what you've got. So we've got a few here, but you can also use the set variables as well. You can zoom in and out really nicely and move stuff around, select where on the script you want to go to, that kind of thing. Your HTTP call is exactly what it says on the tin. You're heading out to an external source to get to post all that kind of good stuff using API keys. And then you have a script. So essentially this is free text where you can go and add certain bits of scripting in here in JavaScript. And then we have a connector, final one. And again, we're creating connectors out to external platforms, depending on what we have installed. So really, really easy to build stuff. In fact, let's just tidy all of this up a bit. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. Let's go back to what we originally had to start with. And it might be we want to add a variable in there as well. But if we look at this, we queue it. Let's move me back over here. We can queue it. We can put a variable in here. We can view those queue details. All of this is set within the queue. It's just really nice and easy. We probably, at the end of a call, do we want to send something? Do we want to overflow? Do we want something if routing fails? All of that is available to you. It's just really neat and easy, to be honest. There's not too much choice. There's not too much can go wrong. It's really easy to set up. There is also an interesting button, not on a voice script, but if we go across to a chat script, this one is a deterministic chat that I've created. Basically, it's a bit of a chat bot. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to do this? You'll see, again, if you followed my work, neatness is sometimes a bit of a struggle with some of my scripting because I just whack it in and make sure it works. But in this chat script, really nice button here, auto layout. Bing, and away we go. And it just refactors the journey based on how it is logically going to work. So not sure why that isn't in every script from Zoom, but it just seems to work quite nicely. This being a chat script, we've got a few other things in here like matching intent and code generators and surveys and LLM stuff. But everything is just really simple. The other thing I really like, if I click there, or if I go back to this one and click here, you have the idea of what is going on with this straight away. So before you even put it in, you click on that and you can understand. And then if you want to know more, you click and go up to that support article. So really, really easy to set stuff up within that. If we go back to our queue, then here we set who's there. I've got 3,000 maximum for my queue, probably a little bit high for a little demo platform, to be honest. Longest idle, depending on how I want this to work. We can play whispers. All of this stuff, though, you don't have to go and chuck it into a script. You just set it within the queue and then it just works. So a really interesting approach from Zoom and Zoom Contact Center on building out scripting and flows within the contact center. It might look simple, but actually it's really simplistic and effective in making sure you can route as you need to within a contact center. Thank you very much for joining A Piece for CX.